Hello, hello, this is Fear Dragon coming at you with another StarCraft 2 netcast, and today I'm here joined with...
This is Mirazor, also known as Alex Miller, and the president of Purdue StarCraft.
Yeah, and he is here to cast with me another game. So, we're actually going to be casting some games from the LiquidSea pack, I believe. So, I mean, that's kind of a giveaway for one of the players, but without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce who else is playing this game. Spawning up here in the top right-hand corner of Cloud Kingdom as the Red Zerg representing Team Liquid is going to be LiquidRet, also known as the King of Drones, because he just loves to drone up. But, you know, this is going to be a ZVT. We're going to see if he continues to do that. And who is spawning down there in the bottom left-hand corner, you handsome, handsome man?
In the bottom left, we have the Blue Terran from Liquid as well, LiquidSea. LiquidSea used to be a Kespa player, and he was very good, I believe. And as he switches to SD2, I'm sure he will show equal skill. Because as we've seen so far, most Kespa players are looking very strong, if not better than a lot of the original StarCraft 2 players.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really cool to see what kind of stuff he's going to actually come out with in this game. As, you know, Team Liquid released this replay pack just to kind of say, like, hey, you know, we are acquiring, we're going to be the first foreign team to acquire a Kespa player, and that's a really, really big deal. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of cool things that a Kespa player will see in the game, and maybe a lot of us who have just been so accustomed to other things might not. And, I mean, Alex, did you play any StarCraft Brood War at all?
I played a little bit. I was pretty bad. I played a little Protoss because when I was 13, I thought the Zealot attack animation and their walk was the coolest thing ever. They were just complete badasses, and I had to play as Protoss just to build Zealots.
Oh god,
but I was not very good.
Especially when you got the Zealot leg speed, and then they just like zoom across the map. Oh my god, that's like the best feeling in the world. But I mean, just going back to what they're actually going ahead and doing, I mean, what do we see coming out from Bumblebee? It looks kind of like he wants to expand, and I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
This is a really standard ZVT opening right now. One Rex expand, CC first are really the two main openings you're going to see out of a Terran against a Zerg. And knowing Ret, the obvious build he's going to do is probably the very late gas with 3 hatches and a lot of queens. This is a really strong macro build and very fitting of his style, which is to just get a lot of drones and then start building units. Ret's very well known for dying before having units because he overdrones so hard. But this weakness is also his strength, because if you don't hit that timing right, he'll crush your army because he's built so greedily. And we're going to probably see that play out as he's getting 2 queens up and producing lots of drones with only a set of 4 lings, which is pretty standard for this point in the game. And he's going to be moving out, taking his third, as we see right now. Standard timing at 4:30, and he's going to keep pumping queens, keep pumping drones, get a third. And we really probably won't see gas until 5.5 minutes, probably 6 minutes.
Yeah, and there goes that third, exactly as you were saying. So definitely going to be really a macro style coming out from Red. And exactly as you said, it's going to be up to LiquidSea to actually hit that timing and punish Red for being kind of a little bit greedy, I would say. Oh my god, actually...
Yeah, this build's actually surprisingly safe, because most Terrans now don't want to do a 1-base all-in, and if you do a 1-base all-in, this is really where the strength of this come from. Queens are surprisingly tough before a lot of upgrades and a lot of, you know, tech comes in, because they have 1 armor, they have 175 health, and if they have transfuses, those things aren't dying.
Oh yeah, definitely, I completely agree. And you know, kind of actually a really small and interesting note is just about LiquidSea is going into Brood War. A lot of the AI is not really as smart as you'd think it should be, just because, you know, it's an old game. They had a lot of issues with that, but you know, a lot of those really top-level Brood War players would just get around it by just having amazing micro. We can even see all of that attention to detail coming out with actually LiquidSea's micro, even on the mules, making sure that a lot of the time when those mules are actually mining, if you just allow them to continue to mine constantly, they'll actually mine some of those minerals. I think it's like 30 or so minerals, and then they'll just drop it and die actually without returning it. Isn't that right, Alex? And what actually
mules
Yeah.
Mules that go to the close patches will actually, on their last trip, only make it halfway back. So if you watch a lot of I don't know if the North American players do it. I know almost every Korean player actually does this. They will grab that mule right before it harvests that 25 minerals and make sure it doesn't. Because, as that adds up over the course of the game, 10 mule drops, all of a sudden you've lost 250 minerals from that base, and that can really make a difference later. Every little thing counts.
I mean, that's like that's half an expansion. Actually have been seeing LiquidSea doing that consistently throughout this game. So I mean, just goes to show that really top level brood war control. And actually, speaking of that control, we see the Hellions doing a great dance around this queen, getting a cancel off on killing one of the creep tumors and getting a cancel off on the other. So, I mean, really just doing a great job shutting down that creep spread.
Yeah, and as we saw C earlier, he actually did he did a barracks into CC into another CC, and he's already taking his third, which is extremely challenging. But I think he's really playing off of LiquidRet's tendency not to take gas, because if you don't have gas as Zerg, there's really no way to pressure the Terran. And with all these Hellions and his Banshee, this third is fairly safe. But as we see speed get up and the upgrades start kicking in, and look at his tech going up, Brett's starting to get very scary. If this third doesn't get a little more protection soon, I'd be concerned for it, because Hellions are good and very strong, but if they get surrounded or there are roaches involved, those Hellions aren't going to be stopping Brett. And perfect Spore Crawler timing, look at that.
Oh my god, that Spore Crawler is so well timed. It's going to finish up just in time, potentially to save the Queen, I think. Queen does need to potentially be micro back. No, actually the Banshee just retreating ahead, and ooh! A bit of a trade over there, gets the Banshee, but also loses the Queen for Rhett. So, I mean, do you think that's more worth it for Rhett or C?
It's definitely more worth it for Rhett. Rhett's queens are very cheap. Well, one, they're actually cheaper. Two, he had extra queens from his build, so it might slow down his creep spread slightly, but nothing too, it won't slow it down enough where it won't happen. And the Banshees have a ton of map control. As a Zerg player, there are so many times when you're losing an Infestor because there's two Banshees flying around, and if you don't have enough fungals to deal with it, you have to just run away, and you might lose an Infestor or two because this Banshee. So having that Banshee killed is not worth it at all for C, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is a little bit rough, but we do actually end up seeing he does have that third secured, and actually has the Hellions really well positioned to deal with this incoming Zergling harassment. And I don't think Rhett's going to be able to do a whole lot of damage with those Zerglings, but I think the important thing is he will get a scout off on this third and see, hey, my opponent did go for that very, very early third, especially seeing that those gas guys are just going up right now. He's going to have a pretty good idea of what his opponent is up to right now.
Yeah, Rhett has complete knowledge of everything C is doing. He knows about the bio, he knows about tanks. He's getting ready to take a third as his hatchery is about to finish. And both players are really playing into, I feel like Rhett is really controlling the pace of this game well, because, he wants to play this late game. And as C, I'm sure, knows he can take him in the late game, C does not want to risk trying to knock him off his course. And both players are going to be macroing up and building up to probably 170, 180, even 200 supply before the first engagement is going to happen. As we see C hunkering down, he's getting tanks up. He was about to build a sensor tower. Oh, there he is, building a sensor tower down by the third. And as we see C turtle up, Rhett's going to be looking to put some aggression on.
Yeah, and we are actually just approaching, around the 12-minute, 15-second mark, and actually a couple of changelings moving in from Rhett. And again, just really fantastic control coming out of Rhett, or sorry, not control, but just scouting, constantly seeing what his opponent is doing. I think it's really something that a lot of Zerg players have struggled with in the past. I know Idra has oftentimes complained, oh my god, it is impossible to scout Terran in the game, Terran Imba and all that good stuff, but I mean, Rhett really just showing some great timings when he does decide to scout.
Yeah, as we saw earlier in the game, his Overlord walked in right as the third command center was being built, and this aggressive timing right here is very scary for C. I don't think that Rhett will push in because it is a very dangerous attack, but Rhett's really taking map control right now. These mutas, which aren't the standard anymore, I'm surprised that Rhett didn't really favor Infestors, but he's using these mutas well. He's making sure that C's stuck on 3 bases, Rhett's on 4, taking a probably going to taking a 5th shortly. And he's going up to Broodlords, and this is where it's going to start getting, C will start needing to put the pressure on, because once those Broodlords are out, I think C will be in trouble.
Oh, definitely. But, you know, kind of interesting note is just LiquidRet is already sitting on those 80 drones. The king of drones getting up to that count has been there for a while. So, I mean, he's kind of he's free to just make units. And, oh my god, losing all of the Mutalisks. Oh, not exactly the best engagement. It looks like Ret's attention must have been somewhere else, as he just did not want to run those into those Marines as they stem up. But, I mean, still at the same time, as you were saying, as he starts to get up that high tech, as long as he is able to survive until those Broodlords come out, he's going to be sitting in a pretty good position. Oh my god, we actually see a Reaper coming out for LiquidSea. That's kind of interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
I have no clue what he plans to do with one Reaper. I'm gonna be completely frank with you. I have no idea what he thinks one Reaper is gonna do. Maybe he plans on sending it in. That's what I'm thinking, honestly. I don't see the value of one Reaper. You know, if he was getting like maybe 5 or 7, you know, something like that, he's probably going for some counterattacks. But one Reaper really doesn't have that much threat to the map. But this is a really smart push out by LiquidSea, and also the way he's taking his 4th, I mean, is very intelligent. He's using his 4th as a staging area to push on Ret's 4th, because he knows that Ret didn't take the 5th on his side, the same spot on the other side of the map. So he's now using this location as a staging area to really shoot forward at the 4th base of Ret, and this is very intelligently played. Oh, the scan goes down! Festers managed to get away, but a lot of damage was done. Fungals were wasted. Will Ret be able to repel this attack?
Oh my god, you know, I think you're just a little bit ahead of me, as we do see the scan going down just right now, as you predicted. But, oh my god, yeah, the Infestors do manage to make their way away, but one really quick note is, I want to say, the Ultralisk Cavern is actually coming out. Oh my god, a giant Zergling run by over the 3rd base of LiquidSea, and oh, he does have quite a few of those Marines over there actually to deal with this, but the Baneling's exploding on top of so many of those SCVs at the same time. The push going on at the 4th expansion of Ret, and oh my god, just action going on everywhere right now.
C is in a very good position now. He only lost about, I would say, 20 workers, but his main's mined out. He really doesn't need that supply. He has mules, he has 3 orbital command centers, and he has his 4th base up. And unfortunately for C, he didn't kill the 4th expansion, so Ret still has all the income he needs for staying on Hive Tech. And as he gets towards, he's getting +3/+3 and Carapace for his ultras, with C only at 2/2. I think C's probably going towards 3/3 right now, yes.
Yeah.
So it looks like it'll be pretty even on upgrades, but this 3rd base has been compromised.
Oh, most definitely, as we see all those Zerglings just streaming in. He's going to be able to do so much damage considering how out of position C is. Oh my god, C just says, screw it, I don't care anymore. Just going to go ahead and kill off that 4th, get the revenge on the 4th that managed to survive, and I'm not sure how well this is going to work out for him. Oh my god, a ginormous fungal from an Infestor that just pops out. But
this is really good for C. C's managed to take out Ret's 3rd base. C still has his 3rd base. Although it doesn't have a lot of miners there, he can drop mules there. As long as he can keep these tanks alive. If these tanks die, he'll be in a tough position. But it's looking like they're going to clean up everything as the... Oh, but the more Ultras coming in, the Infested Terran are out. C is stimming his Marines to get up there to save those tanks, but it's too late. The tanks are going down. Without the tanks, it'll be very hard to keep holding off an Infestor Ultra army. The tanks are really the backbone of that army because they do so much damage to tanks, and they can pick off Infestors before they get in range. But there are only one fungal, and the fungal, oh, and all the Marines get chopped to pieces.
Oh my god, those Marines are just... Oh my god, it's so close right now, but I mean, it's just back and forth. With those reinforcing units, he does manage to make his way through, but those Infestors just being so cost-effective with all those fungal growths. And, you know, even though the medevac count is rather high and actually not really dwindling, it's just not working out for C, and it looks like he's going to have to go ahead and retreat back home. And really interesting to see Red now just going for the Greater Spire, and I think this is going to work out really well for him, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Unfortunately for C, although he managed to take out the 4th base, Ret was smart, took a 5th base. He has the 6th base in the top right. He still has full economy on his other 3 bases. Still have good drone saturation. His Greater Spire is done, and C is only running on still on 60 workers though, so he still has the income to produce Vikings if he needs to. But do we see a third Stargate? No. It'll be very hard for him to transition into Vikings if he doesn't start soon. 4 Broodlords are already on the way, and they're going to keep coming. And if he doesn't scout the Broodlords soon, he'll be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and we do just now begin seeing 2 of those Broodlords morphing, as well as a couple others. And of course, those Corruptors were out, so you know he was able to make those Broodlords just starting now. And I mean, what does C do at this point? I mean, does he even really know about that Broodlord transition coming out? He hasn't really dropped down any scans in the main recently, and does he have a reason to even prepare by making some of those Vikings?
He is not aware of the Broodlord transition at all, and if he were to build Vikings right now, it would be very smart. But see, now the Broodlords are here, and he's going to let these Broodlords siege up, and C will have to pack up and leave, but he's going to lose a lot in this defense. He's stimming his army away, trying to move back as fast as he can, but he sieges up his tanks. He's going to unsiege and start moving back again. He has to retreat. The Broodlords will push him away, and if these tanks go down, he'll be in a lot of trouble. The tanks are going down. This 4th base is doomed. There's no way for him to hold this 4th base. He'll be very difficult for him to hold it with the Broodlords moving in, with the Infestor, Ultra, and Ling and support.
Yeah, you know, he is forced to retreat right there, as we do see that the 4 Broodlords starting to make their way over to those siege tanks. And man, it's just so difficult to lose all of those siege tanks for LiquidSea. And I mean, how does he deal with this? We're approaching the 22-minute mark, about 22 minutes, 20 seconds, and I mean, C doesn't have any siege tanks at this point. He has like maybe 1 or 2, and he just doesn't have an answer to a Broodlord and Ultras and Infestor army.
Oh my gosh!
I think you might be just a little bit ahead. We see that Red is grouping up right outside of C's 4th expansion and looking like he wants to put on some of that pressure with those Broodlords, and only 2 Vikings out. But here we do see the big engagement going in, a giant fungal. Oh my god! That is, oh my god, worthy, Alex.
Oh, it's just gigantic fungals on that bio. And he cleans up the 4th base, which is huge, because now C doesn't have the economy to deal with this, and Rhett still has 4 bases. Both players are going to be playing. Oh, but he lifts his natural, and he's already moving up to his 4th. This is very smart reaction by C. C needs to quickly retake that base to have an economy to withstand the pressure that Rhett's going to be putting on here. Rhett doesn't have a large economy either. He can't even build a 4th hatchery. Oh, he's building his 5th hatchery right now. And he doesn't have enough drones at his 5th. He really should be sending drones down there to start mining, because he needs a huge economy right now.
Yeah, it's kind of this irony of the king of drones has all the drones in the world sitting up at 71 drones, but he doesn't have any bases for them to actually mine at. And now we see the 3rd under attack by a ton of these Zerglings. And oh my god, the Siege Tank doing a ton of splash damage to his own SCVs. Not really working out. 1 more Siege Fire, and he gets to take out so many of those SCVs. Actually, quite a few lost right there. And actually, if we take a look at the units kill or workers kill tab, 51 worker kills for LiquidRet. He's just been doing such a great job with all of those Zergling harassments, as well as even killing off a ton in those main engagements.
Yeah, he's done a good job with the harassment, but unfortunately for him, the battles have not been cost efficient enough for him. He's come out of behind, I'd say, of every fight for the ratio of his economies, and without enough drones at his 4th, and the current supply being down 160 to 100, this is not looking good for Rad.
Yeah, and you know, it's going to be so difficult because Red needs to have some kind of massive army up, but I mean, just trying to get up those expansions, I feel like he's just really, he's lacking the larva and lacking the minerals to actually pump out that army. We do see a ton of Zerglings coming in over here. Gonna see that army that's coming out for LiquidSea, but I mean, not gonna really be able to do a whole lot of damage. She's gonna try and delay this as LiquidSea now pushing in over to the 4th, or I guess the old 5th expansion of Rhett, and that's gonna be taken out right about now. And oh, Rhett needs to just group up with a giant army to be able to kill off C's army.
This is gonna be very difficult for Rhett. He's only on about 50 supply of 50 army supply, and LiquidSea's on almost 130 supply in his army. With it just growing, C still has a strong economy. Rhett's managing to take 2 bases now. He has his economy up again, and all Rhett really needs to do is stall. He can't afford to attack because he doesn't have the force to deal with C. He needs to stall as long as he can and try to get an army back together, because right now he cannot withstand C if C was to move out.
Yeah, I mean, how exactly do you deal with that kind of push that could come out from the Terran player at any moment? Do you just go for constant counterattacks to try and delay them, or do you just go for a base trade? I mean, what do you do at that point? And actually, hold that thought. We do see a giant fungal growth going down, and all of those infestors are going to get right in on those Marines and Marauders, and the siege tanks and half of the army for LiquidSea is actually completely out of position right there, trying to actually deal with that giant Zergling Baneling force.
Yeah, Rhett was doing a good job of counterattacking and keeping C on his heels, but now C realizes that that was his army. That was all he had, and he's pushing forward, knowing that his army is stronger and he can put an end to this game. Rhett does not have the force to stop this. He'll put out a few fungal growths, and his ultras will do a little damage, but C's gonna push through and end this game right here, I think.
Yeah, and just look at the giant spread coming out from LiquidSea. I mean, he's doing a pretty good job keeping those Marines and Marauders at least somewhat spread out, if not through anything, through depth of his units. And oh, the Ultras trying to come in, do as much damage as possible, but attacking one Marine at a time. No matter how good the fungal growths are at this point, I don't think he's going to be able to clean up his army from C.
No, Rhett is pretty much dead here. He has 5 infestors left. I think that might be his whole army. Yeah, 5 infestors and 30 lings against 24 marines, 13 marauders, and 5 tanks. Although he managed to withstand this attack, the reinforcements are moving out, and Rhett's about to get cleaned up here.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna pretty much spell the end of this very soon.
GG.
Yeah, gonna be seeing the GG coming out very soon, as those reinforcements are just gonna be a little bit too scary for Rhett to actually deal with. We can see he's basically mined out everywhere, and there's actually going to be the GG. Even though we don't see a GG, guys, don't worry. Rhett's still pretty mannered. He's probably just sitting very close to LiquidSea or something, or maybe they're even on a Skype call.
He's furious.
Yeah.
He's yelling at C right now. He's like, "I hate you. You beat me."
He's just like, he's talking to Kennegan right now. He's like, "I want him off the team."
I don't want to deal with him anymore.
He's a freaking
Koreans keep beating me.
He's a BS Terran. Korean Terran Zimba. But yeah, that's actually going to be the end of game number 1. This is a best of 3 series, I believe. So please go ahead and tune in to game number 2. That's going to be uploaded and should be available in the annotations below. And yeah, this has been Fear Dragon, and I've been here with
Alex Miller, Mirazor Miller. Sorry, I'm not used to using my in-game name as my actual name. Not bad.
I know, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but I mean, do you have any stream or anything that people can catch you at?
Not at the moment. If people are looking for it, I'm not an amazing Zerg. I'm only like, kind of high masters. Like
he's only high masters.
I have high expectations, but yeah. If I ever get a stream, I'll let you know.
All right, sounds good. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into game number 2. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.